and I will officially do that by changing my background here. Anybody is welcome to stay. We ask any of the panelists who have time in order to do that. We are going to open up questions for those attendees who are asking questions. If you will, I'm going to open up chat for you to ask a question. We will do our best to try to sort and go through them and get hopefully the right person to respond. So we may actually unmute you in order for you to ask a particular question. So let me get a minute here and get some settings done. Everyone publicly, if our panelists who want to talk, we'll just ask them to to share your video, and we will, be able to visual you. Attendees, we ask that you don't, just because we'd have right now 100 and some plus video stream, so we'll keep it there. So chat room for Let's Talk Drones. For those of you, again, who are not familiar with our process, we have our Let's Talk Drones series the last Friday of every month, starting at 4 p.m. Today just happened to be a double-decker day with the webinar and Let's Talk Drones. So lots of questions came through early in chat, and I asked people to stick around and offer those questions to you. So I think I had one question that I'll pull up if I can recall it here. And we'll start that and let whoever wants to jump in and answer it, do so. I have to go back and chat here for a minute. Ben Hassim, and bear with me if I incorrectly pronounce names here. So how are you working with CAP? I'm assuming that's Civil Air Patrol, for damage assessments. Anybody working directly with Civil Air Patrol, and how are they doing with assessments? Anybody want to chime in, and I'll give you the floor here. So I got questions coming in now. So
this is Guillaume from Saudi.
Yeah, Darshan wants to be. He's going to moderate. I need a break, so he's going to be the host here. So
you need to tell me if I can find the questions. Where's the questions?
Yeah, they may not have shown to you directly, so I'm going to make you.
So you're not going to get a break. Sorry.
You are a full host, and I'm actually going to take a break because I've been sitting here for 4+ hours. So, all right. All right. Let me just take off my focus.
Okay. So let's kick this off. I don't have all the questions coming to me, so you can start bringing the questions in. But I just want to make sure that we transition to this by first mentioning that we'd like to thank Skydio for making this possible, for having the drone sent to basically the drones are to be sent to 2 agencies in North Carolina, helping them with their program. As mentioned, it's Columbus Fire and Rescue and Harrisburg Fire Department. I believe we have Columbus Fire, and I want to make sure I have the right name. Engineer Luke Howell, if he's there, can you just put your video on and just share a few minutes about your agency and how the Skydio is going to help you? Luke, you're on. All right, do I need to unmute? Let me make sure. I think he just left, gave me the controls and he left. Columbus, let me find, I'm making sure I have Columbus. So generally we keep this informal. We have about 100 people, less. So this time we have more. So I'm just making we have a little bit more work to handle.
He should be coming out.
Who said that?
Okay, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Luke Howell. I'm an engineer for Columbus Fire Department. We have a very small drone program that we're in the, I guess, in the middle of really starting at the moment. Let me go ahead and name that down. Thank you. Apologize for being a little bit sweaty. We just got out of the woods on a carry out, so doing our best here. At the moment, we probably fly between 35 to 50 missions a year. We have the largest department in our county. We average between 1,500 to 2,000 calls a year. We're three-man shift, three-man 24 hours. We've seen a lot of use in the past year with storm damage assessment, SAR use, as well as hazmat response as well. That's probably my three biggest use cases for our program. We just want to say thank you to Skydio and to the other sponsors for this very, very generous gift you guys have given us. And if there's anything else I could share you guys would like me to say about our department, I'd be more than happy to.
Sounds good. You have any questions?
I think that would be it for the moment. We are also very interested in your offer for helping to start a drone program. I'm currently our only 107 pilot, and we are very, very interested in getting more people's feet wet into the usage of drones and how it can be used in the first responder field and for a lot of the other scenes that we come up across.
Great. Well, we're very excited to work with you, and thanks for all the work you do. I'm sure you'll do great things. And you know, if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn or Darshan, if you want to connect us, we'll make sure to get you guys going.
Okay, yeah, you guys should have my contact information from earlier, so feel free to reach out to me. We'll be more than happy to have you guys here, and any help would be very appreciated with getting our program started.
All right, this will be fun. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, sir.
Sure, sounds good. I'll move to the questions now, and I have a question. Let me make sure he's asked to be unmuted so that he can ask, and that's the spotlight. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Zico Roscoe. I'm a tech info specialist for Missouri Task Force 1, the FEMA Urban Search and Rescue Team. Got a question for the Skydio rep. On your the new X2 that's coming out, can you talk a little bit about any kind of video outputs? Are you guys talking about maybe doing some wireless video outputs through that, or is it all going to just be HDMI cable stuff again?
Sure. Yeah. For starters, when the hardware comes out later this year, it'll be over HDMI. We have a new enterprise controller that you might have seen on our website. I'm pretty excited to fly with that thing. It's awesome. And that one will have HDMI out. Over time, there are some other things we're looking at for streaming. We're just going to let it get a little farther along before announcing it or saying too much about it.
Okay, next question. So there was a question about, let me make sure I have it. So Robin Z said, I had an opportunity to review an online article done by an NC educator, and his 6-year-old son invented a drone that could pollinate the blossoms of some crops and flowers. There was an article, and I would like to follow up with efforts. Does anyone have the name of this professor at a NC facility? Does anyone know about this professor? Yes, Basil, let me unmute you.
He was one of the gentlemen we had at the North Carolina Drone Summit last year. I don't remember his name, but he was, if you remember, we had the that session where those people could pitch the ideas. We'll have to look him up quickly.
Oh yeah, I think yeah. I think the name will come up. Yeah, his name is Thomas Parrish. Yeah. Just search for Thomas Parrish on LinkedIn. You will be able to find the information. Just email ncausi@gmail with the question, and we can respond back with the name of the person. Anthony Milligan mentioned, to any of the first responders, I heard you discuss the interaction between the different units across the country and learning from their success and their failures. Is anyone keeping a database of this? If so, where can it be assessed? Is anyone aware about it? I think I'm going to unmute everyone somehow because I don't know if everyone has their videos on, but if someone has the question, Riley, okay, Riley wants to, okay. It's only possible if I have someone's video. If otherwise, I don't know if you want to answer or not.
I don't know if we need to give Darshan the controls. To briefly kind of answer your question, Steve Rode, who was on my panel for Wake Forest Fire Department, has a newsletter that he sends out to anybody who is interested across the country. He's got people overseas, but anyway, he does a newsletter. You can contact him directly. You can contact me. I'll get you his contact information or vice versa. But he does a lot of hot washes with public safety and emergency service calls where they send him all the information. He goes over it in the electronic newsletter and does a really good job. And he sends that out about every 2 weeks. So that could be a possibility. I know that doesn't answer everything, but he does touch base with a lot of different agencies and a lot of different calls.
Paul, you had something?
I was going to kind of echo what Riley said, because he was talking about learning from the successes and failures. And I think Steve, if I'm correct, is also doing emergency response situation data collection. So when there's kind of drone failures and things like that, he's gathering data and putting that out there so folks can learn what people across the country have had. So if it's like with the Matrice 210, maybe it's folks that are operating that aircraft, they can be aware of that issue occurring as well.
So I think we have a bunch of questions on Skydio. So let's make sure that we give Skydio the opportunity to answer all those questions. There came a question about LiDAR. What's your reply to that?
Okay, I'm just seeing the question. So Ken, no, we don't have LiDAR yet. In general, with Skydio drones, you're going to get a really effective flying camera, and we do plan to do some of the mapping that you can do with LiDARs. If you look on our website at the new page for 3D scan, there are some pretty exciting actually technologies there of drones going through and doing really detailed scans because they can fly up close. But we haven't put any LiDAR yet. In general, it adds a lot of cost.
Great, thanks for answering my question.
Sorry, did I get yanked?
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. It just got mute and unmute again. So you want to go back and just reply that, make sure that.
Was it something I said? Where did I cut off?
No, I was trying to give access to everyone to mute and unmute themselves. So I think that went wrong.
Okay. Well, yeah, the long and short of it is no, we don't have LiDAR yet. There's a lot of mapping that we can do with the cameras. With that tight integration of the hardware and the software. The 3D scan functionality on our website is a great place to start to get a sense of what we're able to do there. And we will keep on kind of pushing that way. And who knows if LiDAR is in the future or not. But for now, we're excited to help with the visual mapping.
So I'm at your website right now. Can you tell me where that 3D section part is?
Oh yeah, you're gonna want to go to Enterprise Skills. It's a new website. I haven't memorized yet, but if you mouse over products and go to Enterprise Skills, and then scroll down about halfway down the page, there's a video that we actually shared in the product demos earlier as well of 3D scan. And this thing for everybody, this is amazing. I can't believe that this is possible. But the drone is actually building a 3D map on board on its NVIDIA Tegra TX2 chip. And so instead of your drone deploy or your Pix 4D flights where you're flying in a grid pattern 150 feet above the scene, and then having to supplement with pictures that you take from ground level. The drone's going to fly down. It's going to take a picture of every surface that you're looking at that's in that volume that you specify for it in flight. It's going to go and take a picture of every surface from a meter away with the overlap that you specify, so that whatever ground sampling distance you need, right? If you want 1 pixel per millimeter or 2 pixels per millimeter, you can just specify that, and the drone will take care of it with its flight, as opposed to needing to put on a huge camera or $15,000 LiDAR sensor. It's really, we just get so excited about it. I think it's so cool, and when you see it in action, it's just magical.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Sure thing.
So this other question is, what kind of success have you had getting access to Class B, C, and D airspace using the AI functionality?
Okay, that's a fun question. I feel like I should probably defer that to Basil, and maybe let you speak a little bit to some of the things that we're hoping to do with the IPP.
Yeah, so we that's a great question. We're looking at how can we use the autonomy for beyond visual line of sight, in particular close proximity to structures. And a classic example is a bridge. In the very simple kind of concept of operation, we can understand that the area under a bridge, there should really be no manned aircraft flying. And so we're very interested in how can we use a product like Skydio with the autonomous system that it has, which makes it almost virtually impossible to run into a structure, to help us build a safety case around getting that type of waiver. And while I know that question doesn't actually explicitly answer your question around airspace authorization, we are educating FAA around this technology and how it's going to be very helpful. Especially for beyond visual line of sight operations. Again, close proximity, low altitude, beyond visual line of sight operations. We've had during previous storms, and it's a bit platform agnostic, we've had success in getting access in coordination with the FAA to fly near airports. In some instances, and then in other instances, it's been very difficult, including flying near an airport like Kinston, North Carolina, which happened to be a forward operating base for a lot of the helicopter operations in the eastern part of the state. So if you remember on the panel earlier, we had asked the question to FAA about shutting down Lance, which is this automated system for us to get airspace authorizations at an airport. And they had done that during Hurricane Florence, but they have not done that since. So anyhow, in general, airspace authorizations during a hurricane are just dependent on the traffic and if you're able to get into those areas or not. Specific to the Skydio platform, I think there's a lot of potential, although we don't have a lot of historical data to provide you about those authorizations being approved at this time. We're still working through and hope to share some good news in the coming months.
Hey, Basil, thanks for that answer, and good to see you again. Also, a follow-up to that question would be with UTM and everything that's going on with the grand challenges and things, is Skydio using the AI platform to integrate with that, or is there any talks with that, or where are y'all at with that process?
Sure. So there's let me add a little bit of color to the previous question, and then we'll talk UTM. One area where we actually have had some success with beyond visual line of sight waivers is in public safety, actually. So the San Diego IPP program is home to the Chula Vista Police Department. We have actually gotten approval through that with them to do close proximity, low altitude, what we're calling tactical beyond visual line of sight flights. And what those specify is when you're in a low enough altitude airspace, so 50 to 100 feet, and within a small lateral radius, your pilot can do whatever they need to do to keep themselves out of harm's way, right? So if that means they're going to fly over the edge of a riverbank and the drone's going to be behind a tree, but they need to do that to be able to understand if there's somebody in there, that's totally okay. No need to file a NOTAM or anything like that. That's a big win. It's one of the first beyond visual line of sight waivers that doesn't require an additional visual observer or more manpower, right? So it's actually something that helps in this vision of having drones that work for first responders instead of first responders kind of taking people's hands out of the field and putting them on the joysticks. So we're really excited about that one as well, and of course all the work we're doing in North Carolina. Now, as far as UTM goes, it's certainly something that we have our eyes on, and we're starting to look at UTM partners, but we don't unfortunately have anything ready to announce yet. So if there's if you're a UTM provider and you'd like to get in touch, we're very happy to have those conversations. It's not totally clear exactly how the future is going to shake out there yet.
I'll go ahead and have a non-Skydio question. What kind of softwares are available that would recognize human forms, even parts of human beings, like an arm sticking out of rubble, that would enhance search and rescue operations? Maybe this is a Skydio question with the AI feature, but I don't know. Is there any softwares particular to drones that any agencies are using that can recognize that, the AI capability?
If no one else is going, I will say Skydio drones are trained to recognize cars and people. And the new Skydio X2 will have extended subject detection, where it can recognize people from even further out. So the way that looks is when you're a pilot and you're flying, you'll get a little augmented reality overlay on the screen that you're piloting with that'll say, hey, there's a person here. And on today's drones, that's how you start doing your subject tracking. It's all based on vision. It's not a GPS lock or anything like that.
So there's a question on, I heard that TFRs are put in place after a hurricane earlier. I had heard they were no-fly zones. So what is the common thing done? We have a water rescue resource and a drone program and are deployed for hurricanes in NC. At this time, we are not planning to take the drone based on no-fly zone if deployed. I think it's basically maybe a question where they are unable to fly because of the no-fly zone put by their DJI restriction or something. Or is it the TFR? Trying to understand the question here, sorry. Steve, do you want to unmute and ask the question directly, or does Basil, I think you got it. Want to go ahead?
Yeah, so in the past, earlier it was mentioned that TFRs are put up in place to protect a high volume of helicopter traffic. And in our experience in the past, TFRs are usually it's not broad swaths of the state. So they are focused on specific areas. If we remember, we think back to Hurricane Florence, Wilmington had a TFR up around the Wilmington area just because a lot of the main arteries into Wilmington were cut off or flooded. And so they just had a high volume of helicopter traffic. So the air boss had requested that a TFR be put in place. However, if you have internet connection after a storm, using simple apps like Before You Fly, which Kitty Hawk has created for the FAA, or any of the other USSs that there are, AirMap, Skyward, etc., you should pretty quickly be able to tell. They should ingest that data in if it's connected to the internet and tell you if a TFR is up in that area or not. And then, as we heard earlier in the panel, if a TFR is up, it's a little bit more hoops to jump through to get access into that area. But the expectation is, I wouldn't have your expectation that wherever you're going to go take your Swift water team, that there will be a TFR up. There's a good chance that for a good portion of the time you're there, that there is no TFR at all. You could potentially use your drone.
Perfect. How is Skydio addressing the upcoming remote ID?
I think just like any manufacturer, we're trying to make sure that we build our hardware roadmap accordingly. There's still a lot of moving parts with remote ID that may or may not impact our activities that much. What I can tell you is our head of policy and regulatory affairs is a guy named Brendan Groves. He came over from, he formerly ran the Department of Justice's his drone program. That's FBI, ATF, and he's in constant communication with the FAA and trying to make sure that we stay compliant and make it really easy for our pilots to stay compliant too. So sorry not to have more specifics, but it is something that we're keeping an eye on, and we'll make sure that we keep our pilots ready for.
Sounds good. One of the things I wanted to mention is our sponsors for the our North Carolina local sponsors that have made this event also possible. We have AirVision, Spatial GIS, Dronescape, Michael Best, and Eravat. All of these are North Carolina local sponsors. These are all been contributing towards the drone giveaway and everything. So we'd like to thank them. I believe Ashley is the only one other than me that is here from the local sponsors. Ashley, you want to share something about how Michael Best can help the drone enthusiast and the drone industry?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. So just to give you a little bit of a precursor on who Michael Best is, we're a national law firm that spans across about 6 different states. We have a focus that's fairly new in unmanned technology, including drones and UAVs, that I'm leading the efforts in starting. And so I personally practice both in the drone regulatory side in that new practice group, and also in the labor and employment practice group as well. So as a whole, Michael Best as a firm covers a variety of practice areas, from corporate transactional to intellectual property to labor and employment, like I mentioned, regulatory issues, and just general litigation matters. And we also have focus groups, not just in unmanned technology and drones, but also higher education, digital technology, FDA, agriculture, and energy sectors as well. So we're thrilled to be a sponsor for today's event and hopefully future events. And we look forward to continuing to build our drone and unmanned tech expertise so that we can better serve the industry. Thanks.
Thank you, Ashley. So one of the other questions that came up is, can any NC person talk about how they got everyone on board starting the regional program they have? Is this Z or Zuko, do you want to ask a question directly? I'm trying to understand. Are you talking about the program, the disaster response, or which program are you referring to?
I'm just kind of talking about your everyday, like you guys have a statewide program, right? That's unlocked with people. And one of the problems we have in the St. Louis area is everybody's going about doing their own thing, and we're getting all kinds of crashes from different organizations. They're not coming out to training. I'm trying to get something started in the area to just get everybody together to try and make something. But I just wanted some advice maybe on how you went about getting everybody on board, because it seems everybody is trying to do everything independent right now.
Sure, I can take that question and I can point the right direction this way. So every state needs a US champion, and so here in North Carolina, the US champion is North Carolina Department of Transportation. So they have been leading the initiative to be bringing people, that is all the other agencies and organizations together. But it's not that NCDOT does all the drone operations. All agencies do their drone operations, but it is NCDOT that brings everyone together, and that is through through workshops, through initiatives like disaster response, through other collaboration efforts like the IPP and everything. So a lot of those things all come together. So a state that is looking to bring agencies together, organizations together, needs to get a US champion identified. Most of the time it's going to be a Department of Transportation. And within the Department of Transportation, you have to see who's leading the drone program. It could be aviation, it could be the GIS, could be the photogrammetry. There are various agencies have different leads. But through that, you can reach out to them. If they haven't yet tried to bring people together, that's something that you could address. But also there are organizations, in the public safety space. There is NC Public Safety Drone Academy, which is director is Riley Beeman, and they connect with all the other public safety agencies. So if we can, so as for agency like NCDOT, if they cannot directly connect with each and every agency, they would connect with Public Safety Drone Academy that would connect with everyone else. Same thing with other agencies, and also organizations like ours, that's a nonprofit. We are basically just connecting the dots. So it's altogether few people who are in different roles come together and have to work it out. And it is difficult for states, certain states where there is a lot of confusion of who's leading and everything. But you can clearly identify that in majority of the states in the nation, it's the Department of Transportation that's the focal point for the state.
So Dash,
Am I missing anything, Basil, in that?
Yeah, I'll just note that we were really fortunate to have a legislature that was that supported UAS, and I think that's probably one reason that we were fortunate to have money set aside, funding set aside directly for UAS program development. And with that money, we're able to do education and outreach, things like our workshops in the North Carolina Drone Summit, because we had money set aside to pursue things like that. And I think that was part of our success. Not every state always has funding, because we know these things cost money. But that was part of our success. And then part of our success was having great partners, like you mentioned, other state agencies, the Highway Patrol, and folks like Riley Beeman as well down at Montgomery County, and AUVSI, all these folks working together. That's what makes it a great network.
Dash, I'd like to add one thing. As both Darshan and Basil have mentioned, we were very, very fortunate as a state to have everybody kind of rolling out at the same time several years ago. And it just, for some odd reason, somehow we just all found each other. And it was spearheaded, again, by Division of Aviation. There's no doubt about that. And they kind of linked all of us together. So Division of Aviation was definitely the tip of the spear and linking us all together. And then we all sat down and collaborated on what does this look like across our state for not just public safety, but business and industry and education and things like that. What I can tell you is very quickly, you mentioned in your comment that, you've got several entities that are crashing and reporting crashing, and you're talking about training. And the way that we did this for training through North Carolina and through the academy specifically is I embedded the academy inside the community college system of North Carolina. And that allows the community college in our state in North Carolina, all emergency services and public safety get training tuition free. So we offer a host of classes tuition free through the community college system, and that allowed different agencies across the state to receive training for free, training and certification through the community college system. And what we're working on now with Division of Aviation, Darshan, all of us, several key players in the state that we're trying to come up with a unified form of instruction, something that has teeth, and something that we hope that other states will pick up on, as well as I know that the FAA has talked about it as well, the need for it. We are seeing now that the 107 is not enough. There has to be some form of skill portion to it. So, that's how we did training here in our state, and we're offering it. And it's not just one or two guys who travel around the state saying, we're going to teach all these classes. Every community college in North Carolina, along with the university system, has the option of offering these classes. And what I've done through the academy is numerous people that you see on this presentation, this webinar, we bring them in as subject matter experts to teach these courses. So whereas, again, it's not just a single person or a single agency who's going around North Carolina saying we're the alpha and omega of drone education, we try to share the wealth with all of our subject matter experts across the state and surrounding states. And again, just like with Skydio, if Skydio comes in and we've got a department, which we just did a huge departmental training in Charlotte with their new UAS team, we bring these guys in. We bring the subject matter experts in. We'll call Skydio and say, hey, can you virtual in? Can you guys attend physically? And that's just how we did the approach. But again, just to piggyback off of what Basil and Darshan said, we're very fortunate as a state to have the cohesion that we do and the willingness from every agency and the many different partners and departments that are willing to work together.
We have a question now on any plans for ADSB in Skydio drones?
Yes, ADSB is definitely on our radar. It adds a little bit of hardware cost, as everybody knows. It's something that we think is going to be really important as we start getting into docked drones. So last October, we announced the Skydio dock. We showed a video at the Drone Deploy conference. And then if you go on our socials, on our Instagram, for example, there's some great videos of drones landing on docks while we blow on them with leaf blowers. Once you've got these kind of fully remote operations, that's where we see ADSB being really, really valuable. But of course, this is something that will get determined, similar to that earlier question about UTM. It's going to get determined kind of in the next product cycle here.
So Paul had shared the link for the emergency management database that public safety can be a part of. So that link is shared. One of the things is that as a public safety agency, you have to still go through all the requirements that they have mentioned there. So if you haven't registered or if you haven't been on that database, so please go ahead and check it out. Reach out to the point person there and get the information you need. The other thing we have to mention about is since Bruce is here, I would just like to highlight, Bruce, you want to mention about the training and exercise that you did beginning of this year and how that brought all the agencies together and what impact did it make?
Sure. So Henry EMS and Fire hosts a training exercise for search and rescue every year that has gotten very popular. We would have anywhere from 80 to 100 searchers that would come in, and ideally we would put what we call rabbits in the woods. So we would send somebody out a day or so ahead, and the idea was to train these folks on clue detection, search practices, that sort of thing. So we had the idea to bring UAS teams in to put real life UAS teams with real life UAS missions in the same places as searchers. So now you've got to coordinate with people on the ground. You've got to search areas. You get to learn your tactics, because one of the things that we have found is, especially in search, when we go into searches, we find a lot of times that the incident commanders don't necessarily understand the capabilities. And so we may tag along with the search team and say, hey, we've got these capabilities, and they kind of send us off to search in a location because they just want us to go away. So the idea for us was to educate incident commanders on the capabilities of a UAS team and their ability, for example, to cover an open field. We can cover 300 acres of an open field in 25 minutes, where it would take ground searchers several hours. So the idea was to put all that together, and we just kind of threw it out at the Drone Summit. Actually, the Drone Summit last year, I guess it was. We kind of threw it out as an idea for like maybe 15 or 20 people to do, and it just caught fire. And we had to finally cut off the registrations we had 75 people, which was more searchers than we had, that wanted to come in, and it did a couple of things. So we had a summit on Friday night where we got a chance to allow people to come in and do something similar to what we're doing here. And then on Saturday, we allow people to come and actually operate in an incident command structure. I don't know if anybody else has tried to do something like this, and I can tell you it was very successful, but as the coordinator, I can tell you it was very stressful. If anyone can see my video, I'm really only 29 years old, but that thing stressed me out so bad, I just look like this. But we included aviation. We included Darshan and Riley and Brian Leventhal, who's not here. He works with Highway Patrol as well. Another amazing resource. We brought those folks in, and we kind of took it from a state and local level interaction, and it was really successful. And we made some relationships with some people that we may not have otherwise. And the gentleman that asked about how do you get it going on around St. Louis, and I think that's how you do it. I think you bring people in and you figure out what you're good at, and you stage things for them, and it allows a networking that starts just you eat lunch with somebody and you learn something about them, and later on you go, hey, I got that need, I need that thing, and they might know how to do it. And you start getting into these mutual aid missions where you have to have an agency that's progressive enough to be willing to let you do it. But you get into these mutual aid missions where you start working with each other, and then it branches out beyond public safety, and you start talking with industry people who maybe have that knowledge or have a skill that during a hurricane they're not working, they can kind of volunteer with your team. So that training, we call it the Coastal Carolina UAS fly-in, and the search exercise was called Swamp Stomp. But those types of exercises have allowed a networking that we never would have imagined could have happened. And I think that's the key to success, is just sitting across the table and talking to people and finding out what they can do. And you'll find most people here are willing to help and over the moon to come try to help you.
So I'm going to try and point out some folks who will be put in awkward situations. So I'm trying to see if Don Birchoff is here from True Weather. They're one of the sponsors, and they did share a white paper that talked about weather and drones. Weather plays a key element, which a lot of the drone operators have still not realized. So Don, do you want to share a few minutes on about the weather fact and about the white paper?
Yes, most definitely. So I really appreciate the opportunity to share this. So the white paper, I'm a retired Air Force. We're a veteran-owned business and been working in weather and aviation for 35 years. We've been looking at the challenges associated with low-level wind and other weather impacts for flying low-level with drones. And so the white paper really talks about how you can really increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of your operations through proactive planning of weather risk into your decisions, into your planning, into the training of your pilots, and how to use the right weather sources for the specific missions at hand at a location and time of place, and also in how you go about what products to use. And I'd encourage you to look at it, because I think it'll open your mind to how we can really increase efficiency and effectiveness and response time. And there's a lot of chaos weather can cause, and on a good day, it's not a big deal, but most of us don't care about it until it becomes a problem. Then when it becomes a problem, it adds a level of chaos. So this is what we're studying at True Weather. We have we have micro models, we have the ability to deploy sensors. And so, again, starting that dialogue, we offer ourselves up even just to talk. We're not looking for, I just want to get the dialogue going to help you in the emergency management community. I actually was a certified emergency operations center director in the Air Force. I ran an Air Force base, so I understand the challenges you have. And, our goal is just try to make things, more smoother and run smoother in your operations.
And Don, if you want to share your contact information, that way people can reach out to you, that'll be great. I've gone ahead and shared the white paper, so please check your chat, everyone. A very informative white paper, and also it plays a key role into UTM and urban air mobility, everything overall. So weather plays a big element, and as we as drone operators have to go through different weather conditions, a better understanding, a better grip of it does help in the long run. I'll go back to questions. This is again, I think, a Skydio questions. Are you planning your own in-house ADSB or integrating other ADSB tech from someone like Sagetech or Sage Tech?
Sage Tech, sure. That's a better question for a product manager than a product marketer. But we do generally like to integrate other components when possible. The challenge with a lot of components and a lot of integrations is that the autonomy system is really new and it's really hard to work with, and it does create a lot of new challenges with hardware. And so a lot of ADSB sensors are really heavy, and that's something that we've seen with a few other components in hardware as well. When you're carrying an NVIDIA TX2 on there and 6 extra nav cams, you've got some weight challenges when you build around autonomy. So the answer is we do look at other components, we do look at integrations, but the bar is really high, and we do find ourselves having to develop our own stuff sometimes.
Now, I think one of the things we can go back and really revisit this would be Basil, on how agents, small businesses can be a part of these operations, not just what is the solution for them if they are new? How do they have to go the step-by-step, a quick procedure on if they're new? There are some people who did not may not have called in earlier, but have these questions. So anything you can assist on a new agency, a new company that wants to be a part of operations in the future?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint I have that'll illustrate that for you. 1 second here. All right. So let's see here. It's not this slide. It's this slide right here. So just confirming everyone can, Dash, can you see this screen here?
Yeah. Yes,
okay,
I can
perfect. See. So what this illustrates is we covered this in the panel earlier today, but it's good to kind of, again, bring this up because I know a couple of folks have reached out and asked specifically, again, what do I need to do if I want to support North Carolina DOT or others in a UAS response? I'm a small business, or maybe you're a large business, and I have a UAS program and I want to contribute. So there is a process for this with North Carolina. And through our professional services unit, the first step is to register and pre-qualify for certain disciplines. And I mentioned earlier, this is broadly applied to all businesses that are doing work with NCDOT. So say you have a business that sprays pavement markings, or you're putting down asphalt, some of the traditional things, or in this case, specific to UAS. And so there's 3 different discipline codes here that you would want to register for and become pre-qualified. And what I don't have listed here are the requirements to become pre-qualified. They will include things like you've not had a violation from the FAA in the last 3 years. You can document a certain amount of time that you have flown your platform and system. I think someone mentioned earlier in a panel that they were hiring people that were taking, they're buying drones on the way to the job site or to where they were going to be flying their missions. So you want folks that have familiar with the platform they're flying and familiar with flying in the national airspace. And so there are a list of pre-qualifications that you would need to be pre-qualified under. And these are the 3 discipline codes that you want to pre-qualify for. Once you're approved, then you are now on a list of folks that will be contacted anytime services are needed under these discipline codes. So the first one here is unmanned or UAS program support. It's a very general UAS program support code. The second is a UAS operator. So that's an individual, could be just an individual that has a business. And then the third is a UAS flight operations manager. So managing multiple folks. So yep, once you go through this process, which is probably takes about a week or 2 weeks to get through, then you're ready to go, and you're ready to provide services. Anytime a job will come out, or something is, and it may not be hurricane specific. It may be our photogrammetry unit is looking for folks to help fly DOT job sites, or maybe a local construction office division, construction office is looking for support. They will use these discipline codes when they put the contract out, and this is how they find a pool of qualified applicants. And then you can respond to those requests for services. And if you're chosen, you enter into a contract and provide them. This is the first step in helping during a hurricane response. So if you haven't done this already, please, I think I shared this with Ashley earlier, but Darshan, I can send this to you as well, and you can shoot this out to the group. The links are here, and this is what you'll need to do.
Sounds good. Right, Riley, this question could go out to you, and I know Wayne Bailey's also on, but the question is more towards how community colleges have their drone programs and everything, but how does community colleges play a role in the overall disaster response? What are some of the initiatives they have done, or how are they helping the agencies overall, and why agencies or small businesses should reach out to them if they haven't yet?
Sure. The community college system in North Carolina, we have 58 colleges, 58 campuses. Each one can do their own tailored thing towards UAS, whether it be repair, whether it be public safety, it could be real estate, whatever the gamut is, and they want to choose that pathway, that's the pathway they can use. For us, again, not to regurgitate what I already said and bore everyone, but what we chose with our academy is to do public safety. And again, all of our classes are tuition free. And where we're a little different is we do advanced hands-on scenario-based training. Yes, we offer 107 classes, but we like to do a lot of advanced scenario-based stuff. So with that, we have, again, as I said earlier, we have numerous different agencies that are here today or were presented in this webinar. We have several that were not here. We've got some military teams that work with us, and we put on the class that the agency or department requests. So we offer, again, tons of different classes, public safety based in UAS, but we also tailor that to what the agency needs. And again, it's tuition free. So the bonus to that is tuition free. And I bring in subject matter experts in from those various areas that you're requesting to do the classes. So that's just our academy, and not to, say that we're the best. There are tons of options out there. And again, we've got Wayne Bailey on here, who works with AB Tech. We've also got Bill, who is one of our officers for North Carolina AUVSI. He works in the community college system, has his own drone program. So there's various programs, and I'll let some of these guys answer that as well.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I don't know if Wayne's on or ready to speak, but at Pitt, we've actually gone more on the commercial side. We offer the Part 107 as a initiator to get into potentially photogrammetry, GIS, or whatever else that they may use. In fact, I'm partnered with East Carolina University to get their GIS geography students trained to take it to the next level. We have also started to integrate within our curricular programs, such as our graphic arts and photography areas, to build a UAS diploma track inside of those programs. We want to expand that to construction, electronics, whatever else may be out there. So there are, again, it's an individual area need, and that's kind of how we have to evaluate what's going to be the best practice and offering. If I have an overabundance of public safety, I'm going to shoot it to the next available resource that, if I can't provide that. and I'm certain Riley's done the same way. He's kind of directed them more on the commercial side to elsewhere if that's not the best path for those types of students offering. So, and then we're also trying to work with the K-12 environment with how to start some of these drone programs that are working out in the high school level. I know Dr. David Barber was on earlier. I don't know if he's on, but they actually just had a 2-week online training session for a variety of topics, but drones was one of those. I think 4 or 5 sessions on drones to get some of the educators out there. So again, it's a developing field, and trying to reach out from a whole wide range of age and educational levels. We still don't know what the far end is going to be, and so we as community colleges are actually fortunate that we are fairly adaptable and can pivot to meet the needs quite quickly if things change. And that's that's our big goal out there, is to make certain that we meet our community needs as best we can. So I don't know if Wayne's on.
I am.
There you go, Wayne. Hey.
Hey, I think Bill and Riley said it the best. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to stay in the lane of doing the Part 107 classes, the basic classes, and then I'm promoting Bill and those folks at Montgomery Community College. Is that, as Riley has said, at 107 is the beginning, it's the start. And so I start, pushing these names out. Here's some classes you need to start thinking about, advanced classes, and advance them on into the degree program, or doing some scenarios. And I've been to Montgomery Community College several times, taken the daylight waiver classes, the visual observer classes. So I'm very familiar with those. And Bill, thanks for bringing up the high school program. There's 40 high schools across the state of North Carolina that have a drone program. The first semester, they take the 107 class. Students, the second semester, they're doing mapping. And so they're being very aggressive in the over the 300 high schools in the state. 40 of them have some type of program going on. And we did invite the teachers at the 2-week virtual summer conference that they had. They offered over 20 classes, some of them pre-recorded. 910 Drones was great, coming in and bringing in 3 live sessions. So thank you very much on doing that. So I think you're going to see the high school teachers, and then they're pushing it down to the students that will be future members here. But thank you for the opportunity.
And I would like to add in from the private side of that training and support, because there's also that energy, power, transmission, and distribution side. But with a COA, not necessarily building a program in the beginning and maybe not having everyone have a 107, but there's more to the program when it comes to the hardware, software, and like Riley talked about, the operational procedures, the more advanced training. So connecting with a local drone service provider, someone locally that's maybe doing sales, because there's margins that are being made on these items, and they can offer and provide that support and that familiarization, whether it's hardware or software, because that's a huge part of the program's success as well. And I think if anyone's still on with that electrical side, there's a whole array of operational procedures that just go way beyond, Part 107.
So I think we got one update. We got from Harrisburg Fire Department. Sean is online. They are one of the winners of the Skydio too. Sean, if you can, put your video on and share a few minutes. Right there you are. Let me unmute you. Yep, you can speak. Go ahead.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, we're very excited to get the Skydio drone here. We have a river that runs through town that floods out a lot when we have heavy rains, and it'd be a great opportunity to use it for our search and rescue here. We had an ATV accident that was in a very remote part of town, where we had units coming in from all different directions. And the drone very much would have been helpful for getting over top of it and seeing where units were and being able to tell them, direct them down the trails to the different patients that were in the ATV accident. So we're very excited.
Good. We are too. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
We'll be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Would you have any final words before you leave? I know you have to leave, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry to have to duck out in the middle here. But this has been really fantastic. Just wanted to thank everybody from AUVSI North Carolina for putting on a great event and letting us be a part of it and letting us make a couple new agency friends along the way. Congratulations again, Columbus and Harrisburg. We're really excited to be working with you, and of course anybody else that's interested will be just as excited to work with you if you get in touch with us as well. On my way out, I'll drop my LinkedIn in the chat here. If anybody wants to find any more information, we've got blogs up online that have a lot more on Skydio and things like that. And of course, anybody at Skydio is really happy to have these conversations. You guys being in a workshop like this and doing the nitty-gritty work are very much the reason why a lot of us are excited to come to work every day. It's for people like you that go and do important things with these drones and make us proud to be in the industry. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all soon.
Take care. So on the question on, we had mentioned about weather and so I think I would like to point a question to Don about the upcoming tropical storm hurricane. What's your thoughts on that, and what is the preparations that the agencies have to do for this?
No, this is an interesting storm. As you all know, it's early in the year, and right now it's one of those coast huggers. So, but the path is pretty certain that it's going to be, pretty much moving north and then northeast, and there's a front coming to the west. So we're pretty high certainty about the path. It's going to be somewhere between the Outer Banks, probably just off the Outer Banks, to Pamlico Sound. And it could be one of those events that goes west of the Outer Banks. So in that case, that's the worst case scenario for landfalling hurricane. But the thing that I always try to stress to folks, to the emergency managers and others, is always be thinking about where you want to pre-position your assets, right? So that how do you get close enough to the event where you can have positioning of your drones and things like that. They're safe. They're not going to be in harm's way. But then that you can get them out quickly to where you're going to deploy them. And then, what's your timing on actual deployment, and when are you going to be able to start flying? And, as I've talked to Basil in the past, there was some challenges during I guess it was Florence, where, it wasn't really clear what was going on in the Outer Banks and the weather, right? So we do have tools, and there are, tools that are not available on apps and through the government, where we can figure out, what's going on with the winds. And how fast they're clearing out, and when you're going to hit those thresholds that you'll be able to start flying safely. The other thing you got to think about too is when you're doing thermal imaging, you got to worry about crossover. I think most folks know that, and making sure you don't fly at the wrong time where you might miss somebody or something that's buried in rubble because the heat of the day is obstructing. So these are the kinds of things that, I always encourage people to think about: pre-positioning, getting in a good place, be ready to go, know where you're going to deploy, know where the maximum target area is going to be in that deployment based on where we think the worst winds are going to be. And then making sure that you got the best data, weather data on the micro scale, so you know when you can start flying to get out there as quickly as possible. And this one's not going to be a major hurricane, because it's just a little early in the year and it's moving fast, which is a good thing. But it's still going to have storm surge. It's still going to have very strong winds. It's going to have, heavy rain, and it's still going to be, with the COVID problem, it's still going to be very challenging, especially in Florida. So anyway, thanks for asking, Dashid.
You're welcome. I think I want to hand off to Basil. Basil, do you want to make that announcement and share some news about Division Aviation?
Yeah, so we're fortunate to have join with us today the new program manager moving forward for the North Carolina Department of Transportation Division of Aviation. So as you know, one of my roles or may not have known, both myself, Darshan, were embedded consultants with North Carolina DOT. I served in the capacity of a state employee for a long time, but then came back as an embedded employee with the role to set up the program and ultimately fill these positions with full-time folks. And so we're excited to continue to fill those positions. And so the individual that's going to be filling the UAS program manager position, the position I've held in the past, is Ben Spain. And Ben is on, I believe is on with us today, and maybe he can just say a quick hello and give a little bit of background that he has. And we look forward to working together.
Yeah, thanks, Basil. Hi, everyone. I'm Ben. I'm brand new. I just started this week on Monday, and as you can imagine, it's a little different starting a new job from home. My background mainly is Air Force aviation. I flew C-130s for the Air Force for 12 years. And then for the past year, I've been working with Precision Hawk as a program manager, particularly with telecom and doing tower inspections for towers shorter than 400 feet. And so I'm relatively new to the drone space, been around aviation for a while. And I'm super excited to kind of keep working with Basil. I wouldn't say I'm taking over from Basil quite yet, but keep working with Basil and keep pushing North Carolina forward. And thanks everybody for putting this on. I really appreciate it.
So he's getting baptized by fire with a potential hurricane tropical storm coming up here. But it seems to be a common theme. Our last full-time employee that we still have, Tom Walls, was hired just as Hurricane Florence bore down on us. So maybe it's a rite of passage to join the drone program. But we're really excited. Brings a wealth of knowledge. We'll definitely bring a lot of his own experience to the program, and we're excited to see where he takes his program in the coming years.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Basil.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So, if you can continue, having questions you want to pour, keep bringing questions. But there's one of the things about the Let's Talk Drones is that we also go through some of the global news, current news that can make an impact to our agencies, organizations. So one of the news that just made the round was the first autonomous drone to pass level 5 hurricane testing for emergency response. It's Percepto. Does anyone have any thoughts or have any information on that? They want to discuss something about it. I think they did the test in Florida, and they passed level 5 hurricane testing. Anyone has any news about it?
Is that like wind speed? Like they can fly the drone in level 5 hurricane winds?
So it said Percepto announced that its on-site autonomous drone has passed level 5 hurricane testing at the Florida International University Wall of Wind. The box can withstand winds up to 155 miles per hour, making it the most rugged AI drone in a box on the market for all weather conditions. This drone platform is already able to land in high winds and in snow.
Yeah, so Dawson, I think this, and I'm thinking that's saying that the box itself could be out in those types of winds. I'm not certain it could fly effectively in those winds, but that the box itself can withstand it. So that could be an example of you get those out pre-deployed, you get them out where you want them, where you think things are going to hit, and you'll have them ready to go as soon as the winds become workable, right? Whatever that is for them, then you'd be able to start to execute. I think that's what that means, but I could be wrong.
Do you want to talk about why it's important? You've talked about this in the past. Potentially flying drones, either in a hurricane or in a storm event, or just really every day with sensors on them to help build these micro weather models.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge, we have, first of all, we could do a lot better than what you can get on an app or from the government because it's focused. It's all about focus. And so, we run micro models. We could do better there, but there's a limitation of what we can do in our modeling because you need data, right? Any model needs data. And so what we're trying to do now is work with local governments and cities to get more sensors, deployed to help us with getting better data. And one of them is getting them on cell phone towers. Even if we get data at 200 feet, if we get some low-cost sensors, wind sensors, that helps, right? And that gets into our models. But more importantly, as drones are flying, if we could collect data from the drone, even if it's flying in good wind conditions, that data is valuable to us because we could correct our models, and we go into a machine learning kind of thing with that. And so over time, that data becomes really important for us to calibrate our models and also help us, with real-time data to help get a better handle on what's going on aloft. Because a lot of times we don't know what the winds are doing at 200 or 300 feet. As folks in North Carolina know, you can have calm winds at the surface and you get above treetop and it's blowing 10, 15, 20 knots, right? And that really messes up your battery power consumption, your planning, how far you're going to get, how much you're going to collect in imagery. And that's the stuff we're trying to work on. We want to make this more efficient, right? So this is all it's a loop, right? It's a feedback loop. And the more we could get folks thinking about this, the more we can improve the process.
Thanks, Don. The other news that made the rounds was the night a mysterious drone swarm descended on Palo Verde nuclear power plant. A bunch of articles started popping up on that. Anyone have any comments or read about it? So they said that while the news has been filed with claims a strange unidentified craft with unexplainable capabilities are appearing over high sensitive US installations and assets as a much less glamorous, more numerous, and arguably far more pressing threat has continued to metastasize in an alarming way that posed by lower end and even off the shelf drones. These are like some bad news that's not going to really help the industry grow further. So it could be rumor, it could be just I think we should agree that there does UFOs do exist and say that those are not drones now.
I don't think it's UFOs. I think it's just Basil taking the drone taxi out when nobody's around.
I was going to say it was the drones from Colorado that finally made it to the East Coast. So.
Because there was a bunch of folks who shared that link to us at AUSINC and personal also. So they said, can you give your opinion? I said, it's not a North Carolina issue, so no opinions from North Carolina. But this is something that's made the news. The other thing, the other thing we want to mention about how agencies and organizations need to prepare themselves, as we discuss, every time we mention that it's better to be prepared, but the question comes is how many of your agencies, organizations have really reached out to your flight team and ensure they have the right technology, they have the right solutions, they are using everything based on the training they have, and all these things play a role. So one of the key things we keep mentioning is it's not just your pilot that's responsible. You also, as if you're a program manager, program lead, or if you are, basically funding this, you need to make sure and check on about your program and see if they are getting the adequate training and technology. And a lot of times we hear this that we have 15 drones, 30 drones, we have 10 pilots, 20 pilots. But the problem is that when you have a lot of pilots and they are not actually being deployed or they're not actually being utilized, the training is going to lapse. It's aviation. In aviation, if you don't fly too long, you are not proficient. Similarly, in unmanned systems, just because proficiency is somehow thought to be Part 107, which is not. Just because you renew your Part 107 after 2 years doesn't mean that you're proficient. If you haven't flown for 1 year or 2 years and then you go and renew it, doesn't mean you are a qualified drone pilot. So as agencies, everyone has different initiatives. So I'd like to open this discussion to any organization, agency here that has done something unique to ensure that their pilots or they are flying safely and are getting educated. Anyone wants to start off? It can be a company also. I'm not limiting to just agencies. I'm saying industry also. How are you ensuring that your pilots or you are getting the education and training? Even if you're a single pilot, 2 pilots, whatever it is. I'm not saying it has to be a big program. Just want everyone to be educated on what's going on. So Riley, you want to kick it off with some of the agencies that you've worked with and warm it up for everyone else?
Sure. Some of the agencies that we're working with are all your major state agencies here in North Carolina. Recently, we did a 80-hour training with Charlotte Fire and Police Department, who are working on starting a new UAS team together to be a joint team. So they're getting started. Again, like I said earlier, we do a lot of agency training. We partnered with Skydio. They wanted to come in and do some demonstrations to different organizations, and we lined that up. We do a lot, as I said earlier, with the military and DPS. So we trained. We are a regular training facility for DPS special operations. So they're CERT team, rifle team, stuff like that. We put these guys into scenarios like man tracking. We'll send guys out into the woods the day before. They'll bring dogs in. We'll have UAS in the air. We'll have fixed wing or manned aircraft. So we'll do all this. And you may say, well, how does that work with UAS? The UAS teams go in, they survey what they can. They also communicate. It's a several layer class where you communicate with fixed wing operators and different command centers. So that's just one idea of a group that we do. But we do live simulations, so we'll do sim rounds for those guys and for the military, where it's try to be as live as possible. And again, we do a lot of rescue, a lot of fire, and we're constantly trying to stay ahead of the curve, stay innovative. Again, I think that's one of the keys to where we're a little different is we bring in these agency partners, subject matter experts from around the country to host or help us and host these classes. So that's just kind of what we do. And again, as Darshan said, there's several different, we've got Dronescape here, we've got different ones, we've got 910. They offer a host of different things. So that's just our spin on kind of what we're doing. So.
I guess I would add, since no one's jumping on from like business side, is that companies, again, purchasing enterprise product drones, when you're purchasing these systems, there's some familiarization that goes along with them. So even once you get your Part 107, again, you understand regulations. So we're working with companies as they purchase their product to not necessarily provide just that they have the 107. So it's an understanding of how to take this system and then utilize it. More recently, like with Halifax EMC, giving them an opportunity to see what hardware exists and kind of demo and bring that to them. And then they can make that decision as far as how that works for their solution. So again, just familiarization.
I think, Paul, you have a pretty bad network or something. It was cracking the last few seconds of it, but I think everyone got the picture. One of the things that we keep mentioning about Let's Talk Drones is that it's a informal way of chatting, and also we put people in a tough situations at times. So you would be surprisingly called, and so I'm just I see Tom Owen around. Tom, you want to talk to us about how agencies are changing their outlook to drones, in the last couple of years. What's new? What are agencies basically requiring? I'm sure 2 years, 3 years back, their requirements were pretty less, but now are they being specific about what they need, or is the education still not up to the mark? This is to Tom Owen. I know he's online, but he's muted. So let's make sure if he can hear me out and call in. We'll give it a second to try and again later. That's fine. We're going to keep trying this out with some other folks. So, Wayne, you've been training last couple of weeks. Some of the agencies. I would push the question to you: is what's changed in the last couple of years? How have the needs changed, or how has the education changed? Or you still do have to show them how good a drone is, or what is the capability of a drone?
Well, what we're doing is that in all the classes I'm doing a 3-day class for just the basics, the Part 107, and really pushing hard on safety, risk management, and making sure that's drilled into what they're doing. Then on the 4th day, I take the class out and we fly. So I peg the ones that's never had a drone in their hands, and we go out and we fly. So before they finish that basic Part 107 class, they do actually have some stick time. It may be minutes, not hours, but they understand the process of what they've been talking about for the last 3 days, and now they've got something in their hands. And again, it's very basics, and so this is your beginning. If you're in the medical field, this is your basic first aid. This is not even EMT level. This is your basic first aid. So please don't stop learning. Did I answer your question?
Yes. Yes, you did, sir. Is Joe, are you on still? I see Dronescape, and I know you're working with the community college in Charlotte. Do you want to share some information about what you're doing there? And also, you are part of the. Let me make sure it's a drone club, right? It's not a fight club. It's a drone club, right?
It's yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I'll share both. I'll start with the drone club. We have it's called, it's through the Meetup app, so it's a drone meetup, and it's called Charlotte Drones. And we meet every Saturday, and there's about 700 and some odd members. So we'll get 20, 30 that come out, and we do it at the Old Knight Stadium. The new Knight Stadium is downtown, and the Old Knight Stadium is just over the Charlotte border in South Carolina. And it's a learning sort of thing. We fly, the police come out, we have, the police that have drone operations. And it's a blast. I mean, everybody brings their toys out. I mean, it goes beyond drones. It also comes into cars. And it's just I'll be honest, most of the guys are older guys, past their kids have grown up, and now they've got their toys. So there's a lot of guys that are just, sort of screwing around, but then there's also all the different folks that are taking it seriously, and we just have a great time. Also, we to the point that was being made, we teach it for the last 3 or 4 years. We've taught it Charlotte CPCC, Central Piedmont Community College, and the Maracas campus teaches first responders. And we teach, we have a 3-day program where we teach them how to fly at night. Also, and we'll give them a training certificate, which is important because, disasters can occur anytime. And then we have a digital processing because, flying a drone is one piece, as I heard mentioned, but there's much more to it, as Riley will tell you. And so we teach them how to process and collect their videos. We have a forensics photogrammetry course, and yeah, you can't ever fly enough. So like in being prepared for the hurricane, we're out flying every Saturday. We've continued to fine tune our procedures to be ready whenever there's a need. Thanks, Darshan.
Okay, I'm muted, sorry. So thank you, Joe. I see Jennifer Birdsong is here from Flight Safety International. Jennifer, do you want to talk about what flight safety does and about the manned and unmanned education, how different it is, but at the same time, how important the education and training is. It's like one of those, Jennifer, okay, you unmuted, so you heard me.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah, so I like to go back to the thought that that was presented earlier about being current and being proficient in what you're doing. And manned pilots have very rigorous training schedules. They have to go through training. They have to have takeoffs and landings. There's really a process around it. And if you're looking to set up some of these same processes in your flight departments, you might be as close as your nearest manned flight department, and just having those conversations with them about how often they do training, how often they learn from each other, how often are they not even necessarily sitting in formal education classes, but how often are companies just getting together and talking about their SMS programs or their findings that they've had in this recent quarter, and those kinds of things. And you'll get a lot closer to, what the ultimate goal would be, which is, a really safe department that communicates well, and a lot of it is just very process driven. And we've learned that from manned aviation. If you've ever heard of the International Standards Organization, ISO, or ASTM, or ANSI, I know was mentioned earlier, these are all processes that you can kind of lean on to start the framework for, just a really robust training department that communicates regularly, it's only beneficial for you to have really safe pilots that don't take risks. And so, you can look at your manned side of things and really learn a lot from what that side of aviation has really, taken to heart, and what the FAA would be looking for in the long run, and then other national organizations that govern processes around the world.
Sounds good, Jennifer. Thank you. So Flight Safety International is one of the, I would say, oldest organizations that's been working both on the manned side and the unmanned side. So, Jennifer, if you want to share your information on the chat, folks can reach out to you on that side of training and safety and everything. I see Amanda Turbik, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, from CEPI. CEPI has been working with NCDOT and on a lot of other fronts, but also she is a GIS specialist and into drones. So Amanda, do you want to share some things on how GIS is playing a role with drones in disaster response? Let's hope she unmutes. I think I'll come back to her. So anyone here has worked with GIS and drones would like to share something, because I'm a GIS analyst myself. I got into drones because of GIS and remote sensing. That was what I came to do my master's in and got pulled into drones. The benefit of working with data, analyzing data, managing data, GIS plays a key role. A lot of agencies or even companies have still not figured how to integrate GIS into their operations. But this is something I'm very passionate about. But at the same time, I know the importance. Data management is a key hurdle for any agencies that are operating drones and collecting large amount of data. And through GIS, there's a lot of, through using GIS applications and stuff, you can manage and analyze data much better. An example is during Hurricane Florence, we were able to pull all the data in. That was done by multiple flight teams, and it was able to be put on a map, GIS map, and instead of sending data that is gigabytes of data to people via email and shared drives and stuff, all we had to do was share a link, and agencies and organizations could get direct access to that data. It saved time. It saved. Got the data in to the right agency at the right time, and at the same time, it speed up all the process of repairs and everything. Also, keeping people updated. So, if agencies haven't yet looked into GIS, I would say that's another, when we talk about emerging technologies, drones, we talk about drones a lot, but even GIS is something that can work very closely when you're building your program. So if you want to know more about it, you can reach out to us, but at the same time, reach out to your GIS departments. If you are a public safety agencies, your city or county should have a GIS department. Reach out to them, see how they can help you out. If not, even reach out to NCDOT's GIS department. They have a wealth of knowledge. The other thing I would like to say is that technology is as good as you meaning a pilot utilizes it. So one of the things I think I would put this as a lessons learned or best practices is that as an agency, when you're flying your drone, know your sensor, learn the use of your sensor. Do not when you purchase your drone, sometimes the vendor tells you they just put in automatic and everything is perfect. But let me tell you, there are days where you are not going to be able to use the automatic feature because it's too cloudy and you have to play with the settings. And we have had issues with agencies, organizations that had to learn. But that's the thing, you don't want anything like that to happen during a mission. So if you are using a technology, understand the sensor. If you are not sure about changing the settings, reach out to some agency or individual who works on that technology and spend some time on it. It is important. I think a person here could answer something on that would be Miguel. Are you online, Miguel Santiago? Would you like to talk about the importance of sensor and stuff in drones? Miguel is from NCDOT. Okay, he's unmuted. Miguel, go ahead.
Hey, Darshan. Sensors. Well, most of the sensors we've been using, at least in roadside environmental, have been just the standard camera. We have been wanting to experiment with the LiDAR systems. But with cameras, I can speak as a photographer on the side, and even through some of the private practices I've done, that knowing how to work with your exposure, knowing how to work with your ISO, knowing what those do will save you a lot of heartache in the back end when you're post-processing. Your camera is not like your eyes. It's not going to auto-adjust as easily as we would like it to. So understanding shutter, understanding aperture, that does help in the long run. Knowing how to change those settings on the fly, knowing that, particularly in DJI drones, there's some shortcuts you can use that will make your life a lot easier.
Thanks, Miguel. And as I mentioned, Miguel is part of NCDOT, and he was part of the Hurricane Florence Dorian, part of the same team for NCDOT, and been an integral part of a lot of the data that came through. He's also on some of the images that NCDOT and we put out. He's the pilot that's flying the drone, so he's pretty popular in the NCDOT side. But yeah, the importance of sensor, we keep telling agencies to focus on learning that, and there are places that you can learn, so spend some time on it. Coming back to the focus of, I'll talk a little bit about what AUVSI North Carolina is doing, and also what we vision needs to be done. The main thing is that we are near about 1 year old right now. In this August, we turn 1. In this 1 year, we are able to do a lot through education and outreach. Most of it has been virtual because of the pandemic. But if you look at the connections that we have made and the initiatives we have done, I think even in person, it would have been difficult. So a lot of times, initiatives and events are limited or can come to a standstill because they feel that we cannot do in person. So this is where we changed that outlook. We said we can do that same level or better through virtual events. and we have been able to do successful initiatives. This time we were able to give free Skydio drones. We want to continue initiatives that are just not just technology, but also software stuff, software related. So we are looking to partner with companies, agencies, organizations to provide free technology, free software. So we are going to have more events like this. We look for sponsors to be a part of it. The money that comes through, we are going to gather it and make sure that we can provide 1 or 2 agencies with technologies like drones, but also Pix4D, Agisoft, whatever they need. We want to try and get that to them. So that is the main one of the main reason why we do these initiatives. But also we want to get people together. As a state, North Carolina is well connected. Agencies are well connected. We have a great unity, and that is because of these initiatives that we have been doing. So all the people you spoke, you heard today, the folks that are on this group are all people who have, we have worked in the past. We have done initiatives in the past, and they see the importance of this education, and that's why they have been here. So we want to continue this, and for that, one of the important things is to make sure that all the members, if you're not a member of AUVSI, to become member of AUVSI. Most of the states do have a specific chapter, and ours is North Carolina, but some of the neighboring states in North Carolina, like South Carolina, they don't have a chapter. So we cater to both and other states also. So if you are interested in being involved in initiatives, be part of the AUVSI, search for AUVSI, and you would get more information. Join as a company. You can join. You get benefits as a company. You get individual public safety, even public safety agencies, the low cost to be a part of it. I know that one of the person who's on this chat, JC Coffey, he's a board director of AUVSI. I don't know if he wants to unmute and talk few minutes or few seconds about AUVSI and how the role that AUVSI plays for the nation. JC, would you want to talk few seconds? Okay, we'll come back. We'll see if he's there. But yeah, he's on the board of directors for AUVSI, and it's great to see he's calling in to see how this event is. Riley, is there any upcoming initiatives that that agencies, organizations need to be aware about? Because of the COVID, a lot of things have come to a standstill with events. We know that the NC Drone Summit is not taking place this year, but is there any other initiatives that you're aware about in North Carolina or anywhere that we need to let people know about?
I mean, I'm sure there's several that are going on, and to be honest with you, I mean, right now I lose track of, kind of, my mind draws a blank, but there'll be different trainings going on across the state. You're going to see several different webinars, which has become the norm. I know that there's a lot of training going on from different agencies and departments. Right now, the new norm has been stressful for a lot of agencies to deal with. The community college system is no different, and especially with the academy. And I know Bill can back me up on this. We're having to be very careful with what we do. It's interesting to see that, we've got students that are supposed to be returning back next week. As far as public safety and emergency services, the community colleges has not stopped across the state as far as training goes. So there are all those options. And if everybody will just keep a close eye on our Facebook page, our website, anything that we start doing, or any initiatives that we hear across the state, whether they're ours or other folks, or good webinars or presentations or seminars, we'll definitely post all those. We encourage everybody to attend. It's a group effort across the state. So we're not the only game in town. We want you guys to get as much influence and knowledge as possible. And please, that goes for you guys as well. Share information with us if you know of stuff that is upcoming. I know there's probably some drone fly-ins. I know between Dronescape and 910 Drones, they could probably talk to you guys about some meetups that they're going to have and do some flying, which we always encourage. So again, please, all viewers that are still left here, please keep us updated on events that we may not know about or we may forget about. Just shoot us an email or a message on Facebook so we can go ahead and post that.
Yeah, I'll just add, I know part of our long-range plan for the rest of the year, we want to do some training opportunities. That's my K9 host, Ziggy, there that you hear in the background. Sorry about that. We are unmanned vehicles. We're not just drones, so we want to be able to offer. So if you have expertise in submersible or ground-based unmanned systems, let us know so that way we can do a focus group on that type technology also.
And we still have about 19 minutes if anyone wants. This is an open mic time, like anything you want to talk about drones, any information you want to pass on. You may be a small business, what initiative you're doing, maybe some research you're involved in. This is the time to use it. Anyone wants to go ahead, kick it off.
I don't see anybody jumping in. So I'll actually make a comment. We were talking about sensors a while ago. Working with East Carolina University and the geography department, we have hoped to have by 1st of next year a published white paper where we used 10 different commercial platforms and compared that to GIS coordinates. So we want to see, hopefully we're going to publish what the effects are, whether you used a Mavic Air, whether you used a Matrice 210, the Inspire 2 with the X4S camera. So we tried to do all the different commercial platforms and compare that to ground-based mapping and the accuracy of that. So for those of you who are interested in that type of technology, we hope to have that white paper published 1st of next year. So it's in the abstract and peer review structure right now, but we that was something that was of interest and I think is related to the topic a little bit earlier. So because what we're trying to do is what is the most cost-effective platform out there to get the accuracy level needed for a different, for your area. Trying to do roadway is completely different than, tax mapping, which is completely different than construction. So we just want to lay that out there and do that. So it's not really necessarily the drone platform itself. It was more about the sensor and what the capability of the sensor is. And of course, that's going to change 3 years from now. And we'll probably have to redo that one and update it along the way as sensors become more and more quality for that. But that's hopefully coming. I think we've got Robin unmiked here. So,
hey guys, yeah, I've been taking notes and trying to work a little bit all at the same time, multitasking. Hey, Deshawn, thank you very much. We've met before, Riley, at the Arizona Aerospace. I think it's Aerospace, Arizona, in the greater Phoenix area. Bill, I don't think we've ever met, but keep up the good work. North Carolina is got to be the showcase for this industry in what they do for hurricane assessment and rescue, recovery, law enforcement, accident investigation. And love your dog. Give him a kiss because mine are the same way. They need attention, and now that we're all home, we can give it to them. But just keep up the good work, and I just am trying to grab as much information on this as I can to kind of prepare if I ever disengage with my current employer. I want to do something, and this is a very rewarding, and it's right for America too, in my mind, as far as growing the aviation industry and watching our borders and just all of the above. So keep up the good work, and anything you guys can forward me, my email information is should be available, and just pass on a link, and I'll go check it out, because I really kind of get into this type of line of work. Next phase of the aviation industry seems to be very strong in this arena.
Sure, Robin. I think Bill, if you can just post the YouTube link of all our past workshops and sessions, it'll be informative to everyone. But Robin, thanks for sharing good words. And yes, it was the Unmanned Arizona Summit that we organized, a really good event. So it was nice seeing you here. Like I said, it's I think we are all virtually, we are all connected right now, and it doesn't matter which state you are, or disasters are disasters, and we all have to be prepared for it. But thanks for sharing those words.
Yeah, and the maturing of this industry in a lot of fronts is happening, and it's growing, and it's going to be. And I think as we progress and expand the technology, we're going to be the leader. So
absolutely,
and partner with other free countries so as well.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin.
All right, take care.
A question came from Jay Cohan about ground control points. A good question. Ground control points works great anywhere. Let's see how accurate these drones can be. Any comments on ground control points? So I can take that question, and then anyone else wants to take over, please do. So I started out in the drone industry with mapping and using ground control points. So I know the how important the value of ground control points. But along the way, the ground control points played a big role when you have manned assets and when you're flying manned aircrafts and stuff for high resolution imagery and all. It really helps a lot. But when it came to drones, there were other solutions that came in. It depends on the level of accuracy that we need to attain for these ground control points. So it depends on if it's a construction project, or if it's a survey grade project. All these things, it matters. But there are solutions that have come now in, like PPK, RTK solutions, onboard systems. Even just before the PPK and RTK, there was a solution that came out, a portable ground control point called AeroPoints. All you need to do is, it's pads. You just drop it and connect it, and it will give you the ground control points instantly. There are solutions to that which they have been testing out. But we have heard some good things about the RTK systems that have been on board. Some of the systems like DJI, and we have been getting feedback on it. But yes, none of this can come as close to in accuracy to a ground control points. But at the end of the day, it depends on what level of accuracy you need. So yeah, arrow points. So that's great. And that's the thing. The ground control points. If you're part of the survey team and the survey crew, you'll realize that it takes a time to set up the ground control points and everything. So people are looking for a cheaper, quicker solution, which is not a favorite among the state agencies that have a survey unit. But for companies that don't have, you have alternate solutions. So I think eventually everyone's going to move out, and based on accuracy, see if ground control points are needed, or we can use RTK and PPK capabilities. Anyone wants to add on the ground control points? Okay, so I think we can call it a day since it's Friday. We want to give you all the extra 10 minutes. You should never say that North Carolina had dragged it beyond a certain time. But this is the thing. This event is only possible because of each of you all. We stuck to the time. I really need to thank Bill and Nicole on the back. They have been doing a lot. Nicole didn't even speak a word, but she's been in the last couple of nights, she's been working hard to get all these things in place. Bill handles all our tech side, and you could see when I took control for a few minutes as a host, what a mess I created. So, you are as good as your team, and my team, I say, is great. So that's where it gets reflected back to me that, okay, we have done a good job. So there we see Nicole. So The rest of the folks, we have Justine. She couldn't make it, but you saw Ashley and Paul. So altogether, this is our team. We are still growing. If you are interested in being a part of our chapter, there is no cost involved, just your efforts. A lot of your efforts will be involved. So since it's all virtual, we are trying to not spend too much of your time, but anyone and everyone who wants to be a part can be a part of this chapter. But the requirement is you need to be an AUVSI member. To be the AUSM member is you just have to go online and become a member, individual member, and be a part of it. That's all the requirement. You have to be a member. Question came from Jay Cohan about New York. I believe they have a chapter, if I'm not wrong, but many of the chapters are not active. So that's something we have realized is that not all chapters are active. So you need to reach out to those chapters. You can find them. You can find them on LinkedIn or social media and connect and get more information. But there are a lot of chapters. Most of your states will have a chapter. So just reach out. If you don't have a chapter selected, this is the chapter to be a part of. We do not discriminate. We don't have any borders, nothing. We just keep everyone is welcome to be a part of this chapter. So we have folks that are not on the West Coast that are part of our chapter. So you can be a part of any chapter you want, but a lot of times you prefer to be a part of a local chapter. But this is the thing, if you're virtual, you can be a member. And Nicole just shared the link to become a member. So that's the only requirement. You need to be an AUVSI member, and then you can directly be part of our chapter. If you're interested, a lot of initiatives we still have to do. If you have ideas to expand, we are open to ideas. And again, we don't limit. If you're a part of North Carolina, you can be anywhere and want to be a part of this. We are always welcoming. If there's nothing else, let's call it a day. You all stay safe. I hope those who are in the coast are not affected by the storm. And if there's anything we can do, please email ncaubsi@gmail.com. I repeat, ncaubsi@gmail.com. And we got greetings all the way from San Antonio. So that's the thing, we have a lot of people out of state. I know there are some people from out of the country also. So that's just says how important education outreach is. So have a nice day, everyone. Stay safe and take care.
All right. And hopefully you'll join us for our next Let's Talk Drones, the last Friday of August. So we'll be having
last Friday of every month. Don't forget. But be a member of our LinkedIn and Facebook group. Good thing Bill remembered us. Be a member of the LinkedIn and Facebook group. We will update you about all the events. We'll be soon planning out our next event. And it will be interesting. We come up with all unique ideas. So just stay tuned. In the next couple of days or weeks, you will see update to our next event. Greetings from WSU. Great. So, everyone take care. Bye.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great one and be safe, everyone.
Take care, Robin.
Robin, thank you.
Bye.
We'll hang around here if anyone wants to stay and say something. If not, free to leave.
I'm here in case anybody wants to talk.
Sure.
Hey, Wayne.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, thanks again, Bill, for speaking at the summer conference. Great information. Thank you.
I told Darshan, I said, unfortunately, we were the last group with the smallest group. So, which made it still, I think, useful, practical, and opportunity for people to watch the video if they want to get more info. So, but things were, I think, Paul had plenty of sessions, so I think we've got drones covered one way or the other. So.
Well, I think there was probably, with the recordings, we had Esri come in and we had several groups that spoke, and this is their continuing ed, so they're required to get it. So they can go back in for 30 days and watch the video and get that continuing ed credit that they're required to have each year. So that was great.
Good.
Ben, welcome. Nice to meet you, sir.
Might be like some of these just logged in and ended up having to leave like I had to do a while ago. So
Better.
Definitely. Good turnout. I just wish we hadn't had the unfortunate technical issue of getting people in early, but I think we turned out well. I think our peak online was about 167 or so.
Wow.
But
Who you got there, Darshan?
That's my little one.
He's not so little anymore.
Say hi to everyone. Hi. Say hi.
I'm going to stop recording at this point.
Yes, that's nose. Where's your ears? Yeah.
Yeah. There'll be less I have to edit out later. So.
No.